In October 2014, the University of Oregon's John Yeon Center for Architecture and the Landscape brought Michael Graves to Portland to talk about the Portland building. Completed in 1982, it was Graves' first major commission and is commonly referred to as the first public postmodern building. It's also famous for its leaks and structural issues. On stage at the Portland Art Museum, Graves discussed the building's infamy and its importance to architecture history and to him personally. He freely admitted to the challenges of designing a public building for less than what a common office tower would have cost, and he talked about what might be changed to make it a better environment for the public and for those who work in it. Graves died in March of 2015.
Well, you showed us a lot of work from over the years, and I'm curious where you feel, in terms of your architectural successes, the buildings that you feel best about, where the Portland building sort of fits in that.
Well, I don't know where the hostility comes from. That's very disturbing to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I certainly meant to give the city the best building I possibly could. And I think for when it was done and what it tried to achieve, it was that, and still is that. So the whole idea of tearing a building down is like killing a child to me. I don't know how to react to that. It's tear-making, it really is. So I'm not very good with that as a sport, to talk about, oh, let's tear the mother down. You know, it was a work of architecture and art that so many people participated in. So many people tried their best to make a city building for $24 million. It was unheard of, because you had, in this city, you had another building that was over the budget, a sewage disposal plant that was over the budget. Ivan C., the then mayor, said that will never happen again. And he got this budget of $24 million. What if it had been $60 million or $80 million? What could we have done? We could have done a lot more. But now you're going to spend $40 million to fix it. That's discouraging. Really is discouraging.
You don't feel that's enough?
Oh, I think it's too much.
Ah. Well, that's pretty much what it's going to cost to make it a 75-year building.
Now, the architect doesn't get those kinds of fees.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that what I did was, I had a lot of people in my office that were working on it without pay, and I said, if we build this building, we'll have an exhibition of the drawings, and we'll sell the drawings, maybe, and then I'll pay you through the sale of the drawings. Well, all that came to pass. The building got built, there was an exhibition, we did have all the drawings up, they did all sell, and we made enough money to pay off all the people. You know, when people want to throw eggs at the building, I think of things like that. You know, I think of the good things that happened there, and the young architects that learned how to make something in my office through the Portland building.
What involvement would you imagine you would like to have as we move forward with this building?
Well, I find when I get here this time that there's a commission to talk about the remodeling. I didn't know that. I mean, I'm just this guy on the other end of the country. Nobody talks to me. To open the channels of communication would be nice. to know what's going on. And then I start off with the television guy this morning saying, it's going to cost $90 million or they're going to tear it down. I said, where'd you get $90 million? He said, I don't know, I just heard it. And, you know, finally, you do require a little bit of homework by people. We take these things these are our livelihoods we're talking about. And this isn't just the Portland building. This is a major building in America. And whether Portland knows it or not, it is. It's discussed everywhere all the time. It's in every history book.
But interestingly enough, it's not on your website. And this was brought up like about 2 years ago, and it's still not there.
I didn't do my website. I'll get it on the fucking website. Jesus. You're as bad as the rest of them.
What else? I mean, if we're going to spend 38, 40, you know, these budgets tend to climb. Let's say $50 million on the building. Are there other things that you would like to change on it?
Well, I'd like the chance to do one floor properly. One of the floors I never did, with the proper carpet, the proper ceiling, the proper furniture, lights, curtains, whatever it takes. I'd like to make a place out of it. I know that I would love to work there. If I had the chance to remodel it myself, it would be a grand place to work. But with what they're being given, and they've been given precious little, it's a terrible place, I suspect. So people tell us. And we were told that there were a few people in the building that had to have parking for their cars. That was probably the biggest mistake the city made. There aren't that many parking spaces, and they should have done without them. But we had to accommodate them. So I get blamed for having an opening for cars on 4th Street where I couldn't have it on the two side streets because of the slope of the ground there, and I couldn't have it on 5th because of the traffic and the trolley and all of that. So it was on to 4th Street with the opening of the garage. I would just assume the garage get glassed over and be made a Gap or a Pottery Barn. How nice that would be.
Do you see other opportunities for reinterpretation of the ground floor or sort of reprogramming of it? There's also you know, these elevations, and then of course the legendary parking garage, or I mean the parking entry.
I'd get rid of the cars. I don't know how many there are. There aren't that many. But there were just a couple of heavy hands that said we insist on having our cars inside. They didn't want to walk. And then a typical floor. I'm blamed for the interiors of the building, which I did not do. I did the public spaces, but I didn't do the typical floors. So if you see if somebody says, I don't have any light, it's not my fault. There is nothing worse than tinted glass. It makes every day look like a rainy day. So what we should do with the Portland building is take out all the glass and put in clear glass. That will increase the luminosity quite a lot. I'm very pleased that we can do that maybe with the $40 million.
And so one question that continually comes up is, besides the tint of the windows, how might we get more natural light into this building?
Well, the outside frame is the structure of the building. So those who think you can simply make the windows bigger can't, because you might as well start over, because the reinforcing bars and the concrete come up to meet the windows, and that's what holds the whole mess together. So the windows are set, I'm afraid. I can go back to the structural drawings and see if there's anything we could do.
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt it in terms of making them larger. But we can certainly use clear glass.
Mm-hmm. There's also these windows. They're not all square, but there are these windows that are situated within the columns. And there's a lot of spandrel glass around these. The windows you see there, that's actually not, it's a curtain wall of windows, but much of the glass is actually not transparent. And one of the questions that has continually come up is whether or not there would be the possibility of engineering allowing to turn some of that glass transparent.
Any glass in that facade that is open to offices behind should be clear glass. Any glass that is covering up slabs and other things that the public doesn't need to see should be spandrel glass.
Mm-hmm. And it'll, in part because of changing to clear and adding more glass, it'll give the building an entirely different presence. And is that too much of a change in terms of your basic design thinking?
Not for me, no.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're pretty open to that?
Yeah.
What freedom would you sort of grant to reinterpret this loggia?
Well, first of all, there's hardly any light on the loggia. There's some sconces.
Mm-hmm.
There's no light. You need incandescent light.
Mm-hmm.
And it's next to all the light that the street can give you. I mean, you can't get more than that, no matter how many foot candles there are. But I would say one of the things you could do is to make a shop out of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
so fill it in a sense.
Let the glass come out to the front face of the building, and then call it the Gap.